I'm going to start off this video by saying that it is going to be a bit of a ranty video. If you don't want to watch it, if you don't, if you're so all over this now and done with the game, I don't blame you, right? I'm feeling the same way, honestly. I was going to record the grind, and coming from, just over the weekend, and I've had time to process like the update and stuff like that, and also see other people's reviews and their opinions on it. I have never seen a community that is this angry at the game devs, and just, we don't know what to do because they don't ever listen to us. Like, I am beyond done with this development team because listen, I'm not a CC, okay? I have no affiliation with Wargaming at all. I know a few people that work there, and they are nothing but nice and, completely fine. No issues with them at all. But it's clearly the higher up dev team, the people that are actually making the game, because the people that you see on the streams and stuff like that, they don't really have any power at all, right? Including the people that actually speak to the CCs directly. For example, on the Honest Gaming video, where he goes into detail about how the CCs were actually told about the changes and everything else about the test server and the 12 retraining orders, and everybody, and I mean every single CC, said do not do that. That is awful. Like, giving 12 retraining orders, and then they go and do it anyway. It just shows that there is no power on the people that we actually get to interact with, and the public relations and stuff like that people. And I will leave a few other links in the description just on different people's opinions. Like, QB actually made a pretty good video on it. As much as, I may not see eye to eye with some stuff that other CCs do and their opinions and everything, it seems that every single person is against this, and with good reason. It literally destroys the game for no reason at all. The game is, yes, there are pay to win elements in this game. I'm not going to deny that. You can buy a premium tank that is outright better than every single other tech tree tank. That is pay to win. But the way that the crew has now been implemented, and then you get WOT Plus, and we are going to be going into all of this in this video, it is now a level above for the pay to win aspect. And it is turning into a full-on pay to win game. Now, I'm going to say one thing, which is, I understand a business needs to make money, and they need to have, a way of reliably making an income, and through subscription-based things like premium account, for example, is a pretty decent way. Premium account, I wouldn't say is pay to win, because you're not really gaining anything as an advantage over the player. You are just progressing faster. It would still take the exact same amount of skill, but it would just take you longer. So I don't disagree with pay to progress faster. That's fine, in my opinion. I don't mind that in a game, because at the end of the day, if you're playing a free-to-play game, the main goal is to try and make you spend money. That is their goal. And if they can offer a premium account, which is going to give you more credits, more XP, fine, whatever. What I do have an issue with, though, is now, in other free-to-play games, let's take, for example, Fortnite or Apex Legends. Any of these free-to-play games, they will usually have a battle pass, which is the main way that they will earn money, basically. That's a massive influx of cash for them. They'll get the battle pass, loads of people will buy it, they'll get all this money, and then they just, reset, battle pass season 2 comes out. Rinse and repeat. It's an easy way of gaining money. The player gets some stuff, the developer gets money. It's a win-win. We have the battle pass. We also have premium account. And now we have Water Tanks Plus. We have 3 different ways, or 3 different things that you should basically pay for if you want to be the best of the best, which I don't agree with. Now, I'm fine with there being, Battle Pass and Premium account. That's fine. Because the Premium account, it's not that expensive. They also readjusted their prices, obviously for World of Tanks Plus, but that's fine. We'll move on to World of Tanks Plus in just a second. But a Premium account and the Battle Pass, that's being a bit greedy. But overall, that's okay. I don't think that it really destroys the aspect of, you're not really paying too much. It's about £20 for the Battle Pass, which is slightly more than others. However, if you do pay £20, you do get basically 3 Battle Passes in one. Whereas usually if you're going to be playing like a Apex Legends, it would just be one Battle Pass that you just go through. So that's fine. What I have an issue with, though, is that now we are going to be paying a flat subscription fee for just outright ease of life or more stuff. So what do you get in World of Tanks Plus? Well, you'll get a gold reserve, which exactly the same as your credit reserve. If you have a premium account, you will earn up to 500 gold per week. So you just need to play the game, you'll accumulate gold, and at the end of the week, you'll open it up, you get 500 gold if you played very, very actively. I don't know, I think you earn like 7 gold for a win or something like that. Roughly, they could change all of that, obviously, but at the moment, this is how it is. So 500 gold per week, you also need to times that by 4, because 4 weeks in a month. So 2,000 gold every single month, which kind of goes and covers the cost if you play actively, because it's 2,500 gold, roughly, because that is about 8 euros. So it's not too bad on like the actual value. It's pretty decent value, actually. Actually, it's incredible value. I'm not going to lie, but that's not the reason why I hate it. The reason why I hate it is that it's not so much making it pay to win. It's making it pay to actually enjoy yourself. Because you get an extra map ban. You get free equipment demounting. And yes, this works with bond equipment. It used to, well, it still does, cost 200 bonds to demount. I don't know why they ever decided that, because I have probably spent maybe 30,000 bonds just purely on demounting. And now that's completely free. You also will get the ability to earn crew XP while you're offline. You get 40 crew XP per every 5 minutes. I don't really know why we need this in the game, to be honest. They should just remove this entirely, this whole crew thing. Like, it's not necessary. So if you do 40 times 12, that's 480 XP an hour. Even if you're offline, you're asleep, your crew is earning 480 XP every hour. Obviously, you can then times that by 24, which is 11,500 per day. And then you could times that by 365, which means that per year you're earning 4.2 million XP, even if you don't do anything. But I mean, that's kind of a little bit unrealistic, because you won't really ever notice it happening, because that's a full year. But that 11,500, again, it's quite a small amount in comparison for how much XP you actually need to progress a crew. So unless you're just starting out with a crew, then I can understand that, because you could then go and recruit them for 50% crew, and then just go, all right, I'll go AFK for a little bit, and then come back in a few days. Though that crew is now 100%, I can kind of understand it in that respect. But why is that a thing? That you should actually have to play the game to get your crew leveled up. Like, that is just, why? And then comes my most hated thing about World of Tanks Plus. The fact that you will get a TS-54, which by all intents and purposes looks absolutely broken. Like, it has 300mm of turret armor, tiny cupola. Right, sure, the gun could be useless, I don't care. But the tank itself, with the armor layout, is just too good. But you get that only if you are subscribed to World of Tanks Plus. Meaning that you could spend a full year subscribed to World of Tanks Plus, and that day that you cancel it and it runs out, you will no longer have that tank. Meaning that you would have paid 97.2 euros and you don't even own the tank if you spent it for a full year. I hate when companies do this. You should always be able to buy your vehicle and it is yours. You should never, ever have to pay a subscription model for something and then suddenly, oh, what's that? You're going through a little bit of a tough time. You can't afford it anymore. Unlucky. That is just... I'm trying to do this without swearing, but it is genuine bullshit. And I despise companies that do that. Let's not forget the fact that Wargaming every single year puts an OP tank in a loot box. And they make sure that it's OP. There's no way, and I mean no way, that they didn't realise the BZ-176 was not OP. Okay? There is zero chance of that happening. The same way the Skoda T56. They knew that thing was OP, and they still put it in the loot boxes. Sure, eventually down the line, it might be sold. Who knows? Maybe it will be. But it's still yet to be sold as a standalone thing. And I'm talking about the BZ, obviously. And the way that you get the BZ from the loot boxes was, if you got really unlucky, you had to spend 50 boxes, then another 50, then another 50, until you got all the other tanks, and then you would be guaranteed the BZ in that next 50 boxes if you got unlucky, or that unlucky that it happened. That is just... it's gambling. It's what it is. And it shouldn't be allowed in any country. I agree that they should ban loot boxes like that in every single country. Because if they didn't have tier 8 premiums in them, they would be fine. That's the thing. The loot boxes, completely fine. But because they do, that is gambling. And I don't care whether or not you say, yeah, but it's actually worth the gold. If you are only buying those boxes to get that tank, that is gambling. And I have said many, many times, you should never buy the boxes to get the tank. Okay, it will probably be sold later on. But you should never buy the boxes just for the tank, because that is gambling. And there's no way around that. It doesn't change the fact that just because I say that and I say don't do it, doesn't mean that people aren't going to do it, especially if you do have a gambling addiction. You shouldn't have... people with gambling addiction shouldn't have to go and play a game and then think, oh, I'm being tempted here. Why is that a thing? Why are you preying on vulnerable people like that? Anyway, we're getting a little bit off topic about Wargaming's... well, I don't even know what to call it. But World of Tanks Plus, again. So you're now forced, if you would like the TS54, to pay an outright 8.1 euros a month. Otherwise, you will never get it. So that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Wargaming. But the thing is, with World of Tanks Plus, is that it's a good value. Like, it's incredible value for money. But they offer so much over the person that can't afford it or doesn't want to pay it, that it is outright just pay to have a nicer time in the game. Like, it's if they introduce World of Tanks Plus and you don't want to buy it, don't play the game. I'm being serious. It's not worth your time. It is not worth your time. You might as well not play it, because the amount of people that are now just going to be demounting bond equipment on every single tank because they can. Like, you're now going to have an extra map ban, which means that if you're playing light tanks, you're never, ever, ever going to get a bad map, really. Because you can now ban Himmels, Ensk, anything else. I can't even think off the top of my head. Airfield, if you want to. The thing is, I've been asking for map bans for ages. We need more map bans, but not in a paid subscription. It genuinely pisses me off that they just do not listen to the community. I mean, he did actually do one good thing, which was 300 gold has now been replaced to 250,000 credits to purchase a garage slot. Nice. But the majority of this, and I'm just going to skip over Onslaught because I honestly don't care at the moment, right? There's more pressing issues with the game. For example, the rework crew system, which I don't know why they are trying. Listen, Brothers in Arms is a good perk. Okay, you need it on every single person, and it helps out. 5%, yep, that's amazing. But it's just one of those things. It feels like you're actually, especially if you're grinding it out. You know, you grind out however much XP it is to get the first perk. You can reset it and then get Brothers in Arms on everyone, and you feel good because you've been grinding it out. You got 5%. You had to do it on every single crew member. Brothers in Arms is great. What's not great is the fact that now the raid operator basically gets, oh look, increases your major qualifications by 5% just because you have your team next to you. What? No. Why are we making them 5% better again? So it's now 10%. And then we have the improved major qualification of all crew members by 2.5% if the amount of assistance damage is exceeding the standard durability of the vehicle. Why? You've just buffed light tanks by 2.5% for free. Why do we need Call for Vengeance where it reduces the raid operator injury by 30%? What? Why? Report the enemy position for another 4 seconds after you've been destroyed was already good enough. Oh look, we've got new loader skills where we accelerate the gun loading by 2.5% when there's an enemy at 50 meters or less. Why? That's just a buff to heavy tanks, which are already the meta class. Like, some of these are fine. Intuition changes, fine, whatever. We only need to do intuition now on one crew member, which is good. You should refund every single bit of XP that has 2 crew members on it, but that's good. The same with the Ararak durability changes. I've also just realised that you couldn't see my mouse cursor, but hopefully that's fine. But the Amarak changes is quite nice, because it's just now a flat 25%. Gorilla should never be in the game. They should remove this entirely. Like, this close combat, this shell tuning, and Gorilla, remove it entirely from the game. The same thing goes for Teamwork and Comms Expert. Remove them entirely from the game. We don't need them. They are buffing tanks for no reason at all. Right? We need to nerf tanks, not buff them. Okay? Because the problem is, you are now buffing the most, like, the best of the best tanks. Indirectly. The tanks that are already absolutely broken. Right? And I don't just mean the Chief and 279. I'm talking about every single tank in the game that is broken. E25 is now even more broken. I mean, concentration, I don't care. That's fine. That could stay in if it really needs to. And the same for quick aiming. Increases aim time by 2.5%. Good. Right. Fine. I don't have a problem with these two. What I do also have a problem with, though, is the fact that you are now making it so that you can crit people a hell of a lot more. Why? We do not need more one-shot fires or more one-shot Amaraks. Right? It already ruins the experience for people because there is nobody that enjoys getting set on fire in the first shot, and nobody that enjoys getting Amaraked in the first shot, and I mean blown up. It's dumb. It's a dumb mechanic. It's just bullshit RNG for no reason at all. Armorer, interestingly, decreases potential damage and penetration dispersion to +20. So, does that mean you can still roll -25%, but you'll never roll +25%? Because if that's the case, you should never, ever, ever run Armorer. In fact, that's the most useless perk in the game. Unless it means that you are getting +/-20%, in which case, no. Because then it becomes the best perk in the game. Honestly, all of these are fine, apart from Engineer. Why? But I do not understand how suddenly someone can make a tank go faster and have more engine power as a driver skill. Every single crew member now, like, 10 kg lighter so it can go a bit faster? What? No, why? We do not need skills that add bonuses like top speed and engine power. And honestly, most of the commander perks are fine. Like, practicality, you could keep that in. It's a nice perk to have. It's not like 100% necessary, but it's nice. Eagle Eye, no. Do not start critting people more often, please. That's not something that we need. The sound detection is fine. Mentor now got buffed so that it is all crew members, not every single crew member apart from the commander. The only thing that I don't really agree with here is obviously jack of all trades, where the chances of a commander being injured is by 30%, reduced by 30%, which, I mean, why? Why do we have like random protection for different crew members? We don't need it. Like, I look at these changes and I am genuinely worried for the state of this game. Like, dynamic cover is cool. The new, dynamic events that are going to be going on is cool. But no one cares about them. No one cares about any of the good stuff that's being added into this game because they are wrecking the game in other aspects. I sat down on, I think, Thursday, and I tried to make a map guide. And then I realized that this game is so unbalanced at the moment. And don't get like unbalanced mixed up for pay to win or anything like that. I mean the actual balance in this game. The balance in this game is so awful that a heavy tank is no longer a heavy tank. They're main battle tanks. They might as well be recategorized to main battle tanks. Because if you actually have a little look, we go to heavies, this is a heavy tank, right? Big, slow, has some armor, can bounce stuff. That's a heavy tank. This is a main battle 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 tank. Main battle tank. Heavy tank. Heavy tank. Although, still a little bit too fast. Heavy tank. Might as well be a heavy tank / main battle tank. That's kind of on the border. The S-Conk is on the border of it. Also, the new, tooltip things down the side here are awful because look how much stuff. Why am I just filled up with crap down the side of my my screen? How am I meant to know what's what? There's way too much information here. I don't have time to do a fortnight of legal reading every single time that I want to set up my tank. But as it is, this whole UI structure just feels cramped. It feels claustrophobic. It feels disgusting, to be honest, in most aspects. Everything is way too big. It's like a mobile game almost. Anyway, back to my main point about medium tanks and heavy tanks and how medium tanks are just useless in this meta at the moment. So just to show you what I mean about the medium tanks and heavy tanks and just how the heavy tanks are just flat out the best tank class in the game at the moment and why you shouldn't probably bother playing anything other than heavy tanks. This is a simple comparison between the E5 and the 140, neither of which anyone would say are OP. As you can see, alpha damage, obviously, the E5, it has more. For the penetration-wise, sure, 140 has a little bit more, but it's negligible. It's not really going to make much difference. Fire rate, obviously, much faster than the 140. However, it does get 320 alpha, so you're going to actually be kind of feeling that when fighting other tanks, which is quite annoying to deal with, especially considering that it doesn't do as much crit damage. So you might have to fire an extra shot sometimes to actually track someone. Obviously, the gun loading is faster, and DPM is also faster. But the aim time is better than the 140, has more gun depression than the 140, is not that far behind in the actual gun traverse speed, obviously has much more armor and more hit points. Speed-wise, sure, the 140 is faster, but not by the loads. They also have a very, very similar power to weight. So it's not actually as bad as you would think. And considering the actual load difference, obviously being 53 tons compared to 36, you're going to ram things and not take as much damage as you would in the 140. And then this is the one that really just kind of puts the icing on the cake. You get exactly the same amount of view range. So the E5 can just nearly do, and I'm saying nearly, everything a 140 can, but has more armor, more survivability, more chance of actually getting out of there. And let's not be mistaken, definitely has a much nicer gun for the nowadays world of tanks. Because 320 alpha damage is not nice to play in this kind of meta. And that's an E5. That's not even taking into consideration something like a Chief, which is going to go at 46 kilometers an hour without turbo, without any, extra stuff. And then this is a chieftain completely maxed out. And yes, you would want to use vents now, in my opinion, because vents is just going to buff everything. Any extra crew skills that you're getting here gets buffed even further. You could go without turbo, with turbo, either way. I'd think that vents rammer, and then you could then choose between HP and turbo, depending on the map. Most of the time it'd probably be HP, but the vents is just going to be even better now. But just look at some of this stuff. And I'll try and get it into a place where you can actually see it a little bit clearer. Like, we get 274mm standard pen. And obviously, this standard penetration is going to go up with premium rounds if you want to go full gold, which, let's be honest, in Chief, probably, 99.99% of players are going to play full gold because it is a hard mark, and every single bit of damage that you miss out on is not very nice. So you have more pen than the 140. Fine, you don't get as much DPM, but there is one thing that you need to take into consideration is that you are then going to get all these buffs from these crew members because you are within 50 meters of an enemy, within 50 meters of a friendly. So that is, again, how much is that? So teamwork is going to boost it by 6.95%. Again, this is why you use vents, because it's going to boost that up even more. And if you can get vent directive, that's even better. Accelerated gun loading by 3.48% within 50 meters of an enemy. So even more DPM. If your assistance damage goes over your standard HP, then you're going to be increased by 3.48%. Like, what? And all of this is more than doable in a Chief. Because do you want to know how much view range it has? 501 meters. 501 meters view range on a heavy tank. Mobility-wise, you go at 53 kilometers an hour with turbo. Without turbo, if you got rid of it, you'd go at 47.39. It's so broken, this update. It's unbelievable. It gets me so annoyed. They do not listen. They do not test. They do not do anything. And they are now just dumping this on us in a test server and just going, yep, see you in 4 weeks when this goes onto a live server. Enjoy. And we're just expected to just sit there and go, thanks, Wargaming. Just... I'm done, man. I'm done. Just... It genuinely annoys me.